And over to you, Nikki.
Thank you. So welcome to November's information series for carers. Our topic this month is fraud awareness, and we've got Samantha Hancock, who's the Cyber Protect Officer from Derbyshire Constabulary, who's going to talk to us around the kind of work that she does and give us some information around cyber. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, that's my fault. Wrong button.
Oh, is it? Did you take over? And then we've got Lisa Arnold and Becky Hudson from Derby City Council that are going to talk to us about a little bit more afterwards. So I'm going to hand over to Sam.
Yeah, my screen's having a little bit of a wobble at the moment. I've got my presentation up and ready, but it's wanting to share something else. Just bear with me 1 second. It's always the way, isn't it? It's definitely open, but it's not sharing. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'll share the screen, but it's not sharing mine, is it?
We can see your presentation.
Let's try that again then.
Okay, and now we can see your presentation there.
Okay. Might have to go with that slightly smaller screen then. Okay, so Sam Hancock, I am the Cyber Protect Officer for Derbyshire Police. I also have a colleague, Digital PCSO Sarah Dufton. We do this sort of training between us. Now, the session that we're sort of looking at today would actually normally be about 55 minutes. So I am just going basically to whiz through some of the key highlights on how you can protect yourself online. So I would like to start with what I call the ABC rule. So that's accept nothing on face value, believe nothing or no one until you've verified they're legitimate. And that means I am giving you permission to challenge and confirm everything. So one of the biggest issues we have is the keeping things up to date. So there'll be a lot of people out there still using Windows 10, and support for that ceased last month. Now, what we're looking at here is that you are not going to get updates anymore. And that is about as dangerous as running a car without MOTing and without servicing it. There are things going wrong in the background and being exploited that you don't realise. So we would encourage you to look at upgrading to Windows 11 as soon as possible. We often get asked about antivirus, and quite simply, yes, it is a must. However, it could be what your device is already doing. So if you're using Windows, Defender will already be installed and running, providing you've not turned it off. Let it do its thing. In terms of tablets and mobile phones, they have inbuilt security, and you will be safe providing you stick to downloading apps from the app stores and not downloading from third-party websites. That is how to stay safe. Don't install something somebody sent or from a website. The next key message is about passwords, and yes, we all suffer the same pain here, but unfortunately, I'm afraid the rule really is that you must not reuse passwords. Even within very recent history, we've had Co-op, we've had Jaguar Land Rover, we've had Marks and Spencers, all had data breaches recently. So if you reused the password that you've got for any of those, effectively those criminals can get into all of the accounts. So I want you to think of them as keys, so separate ones for everything. How do we cope? Let your device do the work or use a password manager. So if you're the only one that uses your device and it says, would you like us to remember this password? Then yes, let it. If you're not so sure about that, my other fail-safe is my trusty password book. Now, what I actually do is write down the username and a password hint, not in full, just as a bit of damage limitation, although this tends to stay with me safe at home. I don't take it places. But I do appreciate there can be memory issues. So if by having different passwords you need to write down in full, then I'd rather you did that than use the same ones. Just keep the password lists separate from your devices. Don't use words, names or information that are in the public domain or can be worked out or known by the people. So children's names, pets' names, favourite places, teams you support. They're really dangerous and unsafe because a lot of people know that information. So what we recommend, or what GCHQ recommend, is putting 3 random words together, because it automatically makes the password stronger because it's longer and it can't be guessed or worked out. So moving on, my second key point here is about two-factor authentication or two-step verification. This is the type of security that banks use to keep our accounts safe. And we can set this up on our email, on our shopping, on our social medias. And you really do need to set this up. Sadly, 90% of my work is involving victims of crime who have lost access to accounts and they can't always recover them. So do go into settings, do set up two-step verification. There's even a handy little website there, 2fa.directory, where you can type in what you use, such as Gmail, etc. And it will give you a link to that company's website on how to set it up. What else do I need to tell you about? Let's look at social media. That's really quite important in keeping that secure. Don't have your employer or job title listed. Do keep those separate. Have some delineation in your life. Keep those risks apart. Make sure you know who you're talking to. We say operate a friends only approach. Make sure you know that whoever you're connecting with is at least a real person and not a fake account. If you use Facebook, hide or change the settings on your friends list. We see lots of issues around account cloning. So if you actually hide your friends list or have it so that only your friends can see, it much reduces that risk. Be very careful about how much information you share about where you are. If you check in on Facebook, that's actually a public thing. It's not just your friends and family that can see it. So we need to be really careful around that. And I've put a link there to social media checklists that will help increase the security and the settings upon your social media accounts. And of course, we're here to help. Do contact us if you need some more advice. What else can I tell you about? Oh, phishing emails. Let's skip to phishing emails. So there's two ways in which people predominantly get our login details. One is data breaches, as we've already mentioned. The second is essentially phishing emails or texts where we are tricked to logging into a fake page. So you have a notice that there's an issue with an account. You click on the link, it takes you to the login page, so you think, but it's actually a copycat page, and that's how they've managed to get our information. So we're talking about here about never clicking on links or buttons to log in or resolve an issue. Only ever log in via a web browser or an app, and that way you will avoid the fake pages. Can we report suspicious emails and text messages? Absolutely, yes, you can, and please do. If you get a suspicious email, please simply forward it to report@phishing.gov.uk or forward to 7726 if it's a text message, because then they will be checked. And if the website contained within the message is a malicious or copycat one, action is taken to remove it from the internet. WhatsApp, we'll get a lot of WhatsApp takeovers. That is quite important. So we need to secure those accounts. We need to set up that two-step verification. And a really key message here is that you should never share, disclose, or forward a code that comes to your device. I want you to think of them as PIN numbers. So don't be tricked into giving a code out to join a video meeting or when you're speaking to an admin of a group. Those codes are just for you to know. Now, I mentioned earlier about the importance of two-step verification and how important that is on email. So that is your digital front door. We are seeing an increase in people who have their email attacked and then their mobile phone number taken over. So the way to avoid this happening is, as I said, get two-step verification set up on your email account. And if you get any form of contact from your phone company about any sort of change to SIM cards or your account, please do contact your provider immediately. Do not engage with an incoming call claiming to be your provider, and never give them any code that comes through to your phone. That's how we protect against that. Tech support scams, this is still very relevant and prevalent. If you get a phone call offering to help out with your router, your broadband, your slow computer, your printer or Microsoft products, hang up on that call, because it absolutely will be a scam, I can assure you. Do take care when searching on the internet, because the top of your results list will be ads or sponsored links. That does not mean they're legitimate. It just means they're paid to be placed at the top of the list. And this is where we see lots of fake sites for parking, clean air zones, passports. So it's really important we understand this. And when we're looking for something, go past the ad pages to the ones below that are legitimate. If you're doing anything to do with clean air zones, passports or driving licenses, go onto your web browser, type gov.uk and search within the page so you stay safe. High value deliveries, if you have parcels you're not expecting, do accept the delivery, open them, deal with the paperwork inside. Don't be taken in by somebody returning to the door, asking for the parcel and apologising for the mistake. And don't accept things like phone calls saying they'll offer to send you a label to return the goods. It's really important that we nip this problem in the bud. And the easiest way to understand this, I would say, is actually to watch a couple of episodes of BBC Scam Interceptors. It's really, really informative. Very simple one, much less cyber, but I wanted to get this one in. We still have huge amounts of issues around doorstep traders and telesales. Don't trade at the door or over the phone. Make sure that you ask for recommendations from trusted people. And a really easy non-confrontational rebuttal is just to tell the caller that you actually live in rented accommodation, and they will go away and you've not had to say no to them. And then just finally, a couple of little bits and bobs. We would really love you to sign up to Derbyshire Alert. So I use this system to warn of current issues. So in the next couple of days, I'm going to be sending a warning out about issues we're aware of regarding Argos and Currys accounts. I use it to advertise webinars. On that note, I would just like to mention that we are hosting a webinar, an online meeting about shopping safely and paying safely online. That is this week, Wednesday, the 12th of November at 18:30. All you need to do if you're interested in joining that is email samantha.hancock@derbyshire.police.uk. Don't worry if you can't join at the time. We're going to try and record it. If you've registered your place, you will then receive a copy of the information afterwards. And later on, once the link is available to listen again, we'll be able to provide that to you. So that concludes my whistle-stop tour. As you can see, there were lots of other slides. I'd like to do this again in the fullness of time. So do contact us. We are cyber@derbyshire.police.uk, and we're also Derbyshire Police Online Safety on Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. That was great. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and I'll read them out. But I was just thinking, if you happen to have made the mistake of falling into any of the traps that you've talked about, is your first port of call emailing or getting in touch with you guys, or what are your early steps?
Okay, if you have lost money to a fraud or a scam, or you've had an account compromised, you report to actionfraud.police.uk. There's also a telephone number that I can't remember off the top of my head, but that is actually only open Monday to Friday, 8 till 8. So you're actually better reporting online if you can. In terms of trying to take steps to recover things for help and guidance, absolutely do contact us as well, and we'll try and help where we can. And we're also available for any sort of drop-in sessions, information sessions, staff training, talks to community groups, and we don't charge for any of those. We are here to help you.
Thank you. I don't think that there's any questions that have gone into the chat, but I'm just going to double check. No, not so far. Right, so if anyone thinks of anything whilst we move on to Becky and Lisa, then please do pop them in the chat and we can ask at the end. But if you're ready, guys, I will hand over to you.
Let me see if I can share. Can you see that? Oh, look at that attractive photo, eh?
Beautiful.
It really helped Sam going first, if I'm honest, because us as trading standards, we work very closely with the police. So what I will go through now is very much what Sam has already gone through, but I will link into other scams that trading standards can deal with, what support we can offer, how Becky can offer support. So I'm Lisa Arnold, I'm a fair trading officer. I've been with the council 20 years now, and in trading standards just over 10, and I'm scams lead for trading standards, and I've been doing that for about 6 years now. So I offer a lot of support to vulnerable victims, which will be in the next slide. I don't know if Becky, do you want to introduce yourself, my darling?
Hello, I'm Becky Hudson. I'm a neighbourhood officer within Locality 5. Derby City split up into 5 localities, which is the 18 wards within the city. And I currently cover Alistry, Darley and Mackworth. And it is really about being in the community, problem solving and things like that. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you. It is going to be from me to you, isn't it?
Definitely.
So as I was saying, we're obviously not the police, but trading standards we do fall under the Care Act. So we do get a lot of referrals from the police, a lot of referrals from Citizens Advice and from the National Trading Standards Scams team. So for example, last year I supported 132 scam victims. They were either with follow-up advice of where the police had done what they needed to do. So it was support with the banking protocol and trying to get money back for them, installing a call blocker, which we'll talk about later, supporting them with linking in with Becky and other local area coordinators and other support systems within the council. So it might not necessarily been that they've just lost the money. It would be that they might need to be get out, you know, they're isolated, and so it was supporting them and maybe getting them to groups or getting people in a befriending service, that kind of support. So last year it was around about £120,000 I managed to get back for victims. So that's how trading standards can support, you know, these vulnerable people. I won't go through every slide because there is quite a few. So obviously I've put a bit of information in there about why people respond to scams, and I've already mentioned the isolation, and vulnerability now is such a wide, it's huge. It's not just a case of being a certain age anymore. It could be linked to a bereavement, it could be linked to mental health, it could be linked to age still, obviously, and also it can be linked to any scenario that is happening at that time that makes them vulnerable to a scam. This presentation will be passed around, so I won't read it obviously word for word. With regards to vulnerability, I've put a few figures in there of this was 24-25 figures from our National Trading Standards Scams team that put together the vulnerability of dementia, mental health, cancer. So that, you know, you can see there the heightened vulnerability within the country. What are scams? Oh, sorry, I didn't realise that rolled down like that. Obviously, Sam's been through the online, and she's touched on rogue traders and telephone scams, and we are very much the same. So a majority of my referrals are romance scams, investment scams, definitely courier fraud type scams, which there is a slide of that later on, of impersonation. So impersonation of a police officer, impersonation of a HMRC, a government official, if you like. So there's a lot of those referrals that come through to us. And it's that box there, it is essential to remember that a scam is another name for fraud. So when I'm talking about scams and fraud, they are all the same thing. And when I'm talking about the scammers, they're actually criminals, so we will refer to them as criminals. The different types are in there. So we have got the telephone, the doorstep, the internet and the postal. With regard to telephone, I've touched on them. They can be literally on a landline or a mobile. They can be a text message or WhatsApp message. They can be an automated voice message of this one at the moment of, you know, I'd like to talk to you on WhatsApp. There's a job opportunity. They've been rife at the moment. There's a lot of impersonating the bank and the police, as I mentioned. So with regards to those, there's there's the reporting side of it that's really important when it comes to a scam. It's giving people the confidence that they should and can report it. So with regards to telephone, you can, as Sam said, there's the 7726, which is reporting of a text message or a telephone number, which then gets investigated and closed down. It's more disruption than anything, if possible, as much as we can. With regards to the telephone, you can, if it's a landline, you can register with the telephone preference service. That's a free service. Doesn't stop all of them, unfortunately, because as we know, the criminals will use a number for a certain amount of time and then purchase another one and keep trying until someone actually gives their details to them. We offer call blockers. I'll show you a picture of those later. So as part of the multi-agency approach across Derbyshire, Derby City, and with the police, we had a supply of call blockers. They're an amazing little unit that we can plug into landlines that stop every single nuisance phone call. For obviously the vulnerable consumer, it gives them confidence when the phone rings that it's someone they want to talk to. For us, it's amazing intelligence when it comes to the types of numbers that are trying to get through. So we have access to those units remotely. So those numbers get reported, and the top 100 every month get investigated, looked at, closed down. Again, we're going back to the disruption side of it. Sam touched on doorstep as trading standards. And the police, so obviously the criminal element of it, the police are contacted obviously straight away. A majority of them are referred to trading standards for us to look at, because it could be that the trader is operating in our area, and it can be linked to some of our legislation that we use, not all the time, because they can be a rogue trader. So those rogue traders will set up a site in a particular area for so many weeks, do what they need to do by knocking on someone's door, the roof, the garden, the driveway, and then move on to a different area. But with that, it's supporting those victims of those rogue traders. It's giving them the confidence to speak to us openly, so we can get as much intelligence from them linking to the rogue trader as we possibly can, to then share it on our database, our intel database, that then goes across the region, and it can go regional and national as well. So that intel is really useful. Becky, I don't know, sorry, if you want to mention what's been going on, obviously in a couple of your areas.
So yeah, just picking up on some of the things that Lisa has said, and I think one of the most important things to get over to people from my perspective is these scamsters, fraudsters, criminals, this is their full-time job. Okay, so if we're looking at them caring or looking out for anything, no, they're only interested in their next holiday to Skeg Vegas or Tenerife, depending on how much money they can fleece. And those are the types of language that will come out when you're talking to scamsters. So these guys, they do it for a day job. They are very, very good at what they do. And being very, very good at what they do means tricking people, speaking to you, the telephone scams. I know both Lisa and Sam have touched on this. Text messages, it could be a message that you get that comes through that says, "Hi, Mum." And already it's like being familiar and things like that. And there are lots of people that fall for those sorts of things. It'd be, "Hi, Mum, I've run out of money," those types of things. And those are the things that are coming through to us that are being reported over the mobile phones, the telephones and stuff like that. And I think that the other thing is that we just need to be aware and question whenever things like that come in. And I will carry on jumping in when we get there, Lisa. But
that's
yeah,
fine.
My main point there was just to say this is their full-time job. They are professional scamsters.
Yeah, we will touch on a bit of the language in another slide that we've got. I won't go through internet scams because Sam's very she's done everything relating to that. Postal, yes, they are still around. So the lotteries, the clairvoyant type scams, you've got an inheritance, they are still around. It's still happening. I've dealt with a gentleman recently who lost nearly £100,000 to them, which we've managed you know, claw back. But again, that was linked to his isolation and the fact that he found his way of interacting with the world was, you know, by replying to these postal scams. So how we've obviously, police got their intel, we got ours, and we worked with him as part of the national trading standards. They have a mail marshal scheme. So for these type of victims, yes, this particular person still didn't want to get out into the community or any further support, but he's now a mail marshal for us. So instead of replying to the criminals, he has a specific envelope he gets each month. He fills this particular form in for us. He puts all his postal scam mail in the envelope and it gets sent to us. And that's intel for us because we can see where these PO box numbers are coming from, but it's also something for him to do that which isn't a scam, so he's very happy. And you know, we talk on a monthly basis, so he's still got that interaction as well with a individual rather than it being a criminal. So there's certain things like that that we can do. The next one, so I've touched on courier fraud. There was one not so long ago in Alistry where there was a chap who was a victim of this. They claimed to be the police, that there'd been fraudulent activity on his account. And he was very lucky in the fact that he was known in the area. So the post office he went to post off his debit card, the postmaster asked him what it was, and he openly told him, and it was the postmaster that reported and said to him, "This isn't right. You know, you've been a victim of a scam." And so the police and ourselves and the local area coordinates, we all got involved and supported him, and we raised awareness in the area. So again, it's all about reporting, because if we didn't get these reports in, we wouldn't know what was going on in the local areas, so that we can get the message out and, you know, send resources to the relevant and offer the support to these victims. What I called you Vicky then, what Becky touched on a minute ago. So the language, not necessarily the language of the criminals. I'm talking about more about the language of us as you as carers, as, you know, you as practitioners. It's very easy for someone who hasn't been a victim of a scam and is very clued up of what's going on to instantly use the words of, how could you fall for that? Why have you been so stupid? That kind of language really needs to stop, because it's really not helping the victim in wanting to come forward to report or to get further support that they need. So this slide here is a great one to read when you get a chance, and there is more online. There's a Dr. Elizabeth Carter who works with us and the police and across the country with regards to the language around fraud and how we can support victims better, and making sure we use the right language to give them confidence and things like that. How to spot a scam. The request for money, obviously, the pressure to act quickly, demands for secrecy, which that one is very much around romance fraud, a recent romance fraud that we dealt with. They isolated the individual from family, from friends, by claiming, you know, if you didn't keep it a secret, certain things would happen. If you told the family members this had been said or this text message had been received, certain things would happen. Again, it's definitely coercive control. It's definitely how they word things, because I think any human being, if someone is approached in the right way, you will respond. So with the criminal coming across very polite, very caring, very, in the romance scam, very complimentary and continuing that for a certain amount of time before asking for money, then they're very clever in how they're doing that. So it's taking 5, as we've said previously. Take 5. Why are you asking me that question? Why has that been put in a text message? Why have you asked for money? Why have you asked for that information? It's just thinking it, you know, and trying to be aware. Here are some prevent and protect that Sam's mentioned. You know, protect your information, don't transfer or withdraw money. With regard to doorstep, you know, if you can get yourself a Ring doorbell, if you can't, trading standards definitely do a lot of projects around that. So there might be availability for a free Ring doorbell, and I know the area coordinators have budgets for that kind of thing. Sorry, Sam, I didn't see your hand up. Did you want to nip in?
I just wanted to throw in a bit of an old a bit of an old one that we don't use anymore, and that is the term confidence trickster, because that's exactly what they are. They garner our trust by befriending, offering to help, playing on emotions, kindness. And I think it's just like a really useful term to remember. That's where the old con man type phrase came. They are confidence tricksters, and they are exceptionally good and manipulative at what they do.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
Absolutely.
great one. Yeah, yeah.
It is good. And I think, sorry to jump in, Lisa.
No.
I think another thing to be aware of is your surroundings, and what communities you are working in. From my experience working in the communities that I am, and I can give you an example of one such job that we had to get involved in, is that certain communities have certain types of housing. So these fraudsters will target specifically areas where there's, say for instance, lots of bungalows, because their thinking is if we've got bungalows, we've potentially got more vulnerable residents that are living in the area, which means that we can go in there and offer services that they probably don't need or don't want, but because they're living in places that could be isolated, where they're not talking to anybody, what we tend to find is that we will go out to these areas and there will be posters on lampposts offering garden services or rooftop repairs. We also find that door knocking by this type of people are very frequent. So then what happens is, if we get a phone call or we get a resident come in, or even the police come to us or Lisa, or vice versa, because we will contact Trading Standards, we will go out to the police, we will arrange to go out there, take down these posters, make sure that we can stop. Because so very much what you were saying, Lisa, about the deflection, trying to interrupt and disrupt how they're getting on, because for whatever reason these people tend to use the same phone numbers, they'll have the same emblems, or they may have a name that they slightly tweak, so we can sort of guess that that evidence is there that they're the same people. So we'll just do like some disruption and things like that, that's going out there. So yeah, sorry, just jumped in there.
No, that's great. Yeah, and like you were saying, the reporting side of it to us and the police is ideal, because obviously the police have got their own intel database with it, and we've got ours. So anything we get, even if we can't, or some of them will never find, but sharing that intel, because they will move around, really does help. There was one not so long ago, a gentleman in Littleover. The trader had moved across border, but that Trading Standard had managed to catch them. And what had happened was they'd found a customer list, and one of the customers was in Derby City. So that's how it helped, because we'd shared the intel there. They'd realised that had happened, and we were managed to support the gentleman in Derby City, and that was like £107,000 he lost. So it was really useful for that council, for us, for the police, and obviously the victim as well. So yeah, definitely all of that is ideal. Reporting, Sam's gone through that with regards to the emails and things like that with the phishing. Protection. So I've mentioned Take 5. There's a Take 5 campaign. There's the Stop Think Fraud campaign, which is the government one that ourselves and the police follow. There's a lot of resources online you can find when it comes to finding out what trends and how to look for spot a scam and things like that. The reporting side, as Sam said, is obviously action fraud, and there's also the citizen advice, because sometimes citizen advice is linked to ourselves, Trading Standards, either from a criminal or a civil aspect, and we will get notified every time a report comes through, and then we will decide and look at that intel to see if we will work with it, and obviously contact the police and work together and do it that way. I'll quickly touch on the bank reimbursement process. So if yourselves or someone you're working with has been a victim, Sam mentioned about the reporting side for the bank. So we work with all the banks, as do the police. As you can imagine, if you are a victim, you don't want to keep going over the story all the time, and we're there to take that pressure off them. So they do give us consent to like act on their behalf. So we do work with the victim, but we work then with the bank or the financial ombudsman if it goes that far, and that sort of process. So there's a bit of information on there. If you click on those links, there's information about the banking process. Current scams, Derbyshire Alertsy, I was there, Sam. So it's brilliant. So we sign up for that. What Becky was talking about a minute ago with a rogue trader was in the area not long ago. Let the police know they're dealing with that. But as a trading standards and local area coordinators, we worked together and got the word out and tried to do as much as we could. But Derbyshire Alert were amazing. They put an alert out straight away. I found Which as well, scam alerts, they're really good. So if you sign up to them, you get emails through to let you know what scam. It's more informing yourselves so you know what's out there and what to look out for. So if you are a carer of someone and they are acting a bit different, you notice some behavioural changes, or they're getting a lot of posts, or the phone seems to be ringing all the time, or they're on the mobile quite a bit, just it might help just bringing up the question, is that a nuisance phone call, or is that someone you want to talk to? And it's opening up that conversation. But if you're aware of what's going on, you can support them a lot more. These are our resources. We have the no cold calling stickers here. We also have a scam pack that we put with that. These are the call blockers. So they are free. At the moment, they are for our vulnerable victims. They're not just a willy-nilly handout, because obviously they are expensive. They're part of a project, but we are willing to possibly install them for like a 3-month trial basis, and then if at the end they like them, then they would have to purchase one themselves. But they're the unit that we install. And then there's some useful contacts with regards to what we've been talking about. I don't know if Becky, you want to add anything in?
I was just looking at the question that's just on there.
Oh, sorry, it's because I've got my screen open. It doesn't pop up as a...
Well, this one actually, it says, please could you touch on how doorstep traders who take deposits for work and do not do any work in return may first appear like a breach of contract, but it's worth letting trading standards know to do the pattern of dishonest trading and what have you, which is actually quite pertinent, really, because we had one recently where and it was only because of so with my role within the community, there's a lot of people that know about me and know about that I work for the council and that they can get in contact, and then we can spread the information. So we were actually we were contacted by a local church who had been approached by a rogue trader, as it turns out, to do some groundwork, some tarmacking, because they had got some leftover tarmac from some work that they were doing on the roads, which basically gave them a bit of an illegitimacy, because it sounded like that they were working for the council when in effect they weren't. So this information was passed up to us. We then were able, through our contacts, through Lisa, through Derbyshire Alert, through the police, spread information out to the networks to try to prevent anybody else from taking up their service. As it turns out, there was one person that did, and they were quoted a lot of money to do very, very little. And this is where trading standards came in, because you gave them advice on what it was that they needed to do, what they should pay for, what they shouldn't. And without that information, they would have been fleeced to nearer, what was it, about 15 grand or something like that. So I think that's important to add there, because like what you've put, Leanne, about the breach of contract, because they haven't done what they should have done. Lisa was able to articulate that information to these people about what they can and what they can't do. Does that make sense? Does that answer what you're saying, Leanne?
I'll have a bit to add as well if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
I just think as well, when we're talking about rogue traders, you're not necessarily going to have a contract, because they're not going to give you the right paperwork. It's going to be a case of knocking on your door, you have it done within the next couple of hours, or I'm moving on and apply. So there's never, with a rogue, you're not going to have, your cancellation rights. You're not going to have a signed contract. So I think the whole going back to reporting again, Citizens Advice is there for all your civil advice, so go to them. By all means, if you did want any of it, you can email me, that's absolutely fine, and I can try and point you in the right direction like we did with Becky. And it's all about the working together.
Yes.
With the multi-agency approach. I think that's what we're trying to get across in this chat now is, yes, obviously go to the police, but it's knowing as well that you've got Becky, you've got
Others.
trading standards,
Yeah.
you've got other areas that you can go to as well. So yeah, and as with Sam, I do talks too, so feel free if you've got any groups. We're attending quite a few of the events that the local area coordinators have put on. So yeah, I think if you've got any questions, this presentation will go out. By all means, just get in touch. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to pop on the end of that, because we at Universal Services for Carers are part of Citizens Advice Mid Mercia, so we're a Citizens Advice local office. If you need support from a Citizens Advice as a carer, you just need to get in touch with us and we can get you that link, which is a much kind of slicker way to get you an advisor and to get you that civil support if you need it. So all the other avenues, great, and you have that too through the carer service. There are...
Sorry, can I just add just one little thing? There is some
Yes.
great online training, free, about 20 minutes, and it's through Friends Against Scams. I think it's on that last slide. So there is one for the general public, and there is also one for practitioners as well. So it might be useful to just possibly send them links around to everybody for a, you know, just to give a bit of insight into scams and fraud.
Yeah, that's great. There were people typing, but nothing's popped up. So I would say thank you, and we will get Emma to stop the recording.